Hello, my friends, and welcome to the third class in our IELTS, TOEFL, and Proficiency Exam Writing course, into which, my friends, we are going to carry on talking about the essay, dissecting it into depth, and analyzing the three parts of an essay. As you know, my friends, in the previous two classes, we have started talking about an essay. We compared it to the paragraph, and we saw that an essay generally is kind of a larger form of a paragraph, and we compared it in terms, of course, we compared it with the essay in terms of contents, in terms of form, in terms of writing styles, and even in terms of cohesion and coherence among the sentences and the paragraphs. Then, my friends, in the previous class, we said that there are three parts of a good essay: the introductory paragraph, the body paragraphs, and the concluding paragraph. And in the second class of this course, which is the previous class, we have started talking about the introductory paragraph, and we said that an introductory paragraph is made up of three parts. The first one is called the hook, or which I prefer to call the general specific sentence, and the second one is called background information, which I prefer to call covering points 1 and 2, and the third one is the thesis statement. Also, my friends, I prefer to call our perspective or our opinion. Again, my friends, I chose my own nomination, and I mentioned the international or the common ones so that I make the students a little bit familiar with the terminology I'm going to use in my own book. In here, my friends, we talked about the hook, and we said that it is the most general sentence, the first sentence, and we talked about the properties and the features of a good hook or a good general specific sentence. Today, my friends, we are going to start talking about the second part, background information or covering points 1 and 2. And I prefer to tell you that this part is not always required when we write the introductory paragraph, for one main reason. To understand the reason, we should understand first the types of questions we are going to go through in the IELTS or the TOEFL or proficiency exams, especially when they are asking us to write an essay. Generally, my friends, as you see here, we have three types of essay questions. The first type is called two parties arguing. In this type of questions, my friends, you see that in the question, there will be mentioned two parties. Each party of people, of course, prefer to support a perspective, while the other prefer to contradict this perspective. For example, you see one party supporting buying a house, not renting one, while the other supporting renting house, not buying one. Or some people, for example, prefer to study abroad, while others prefer to study in the same country, in their original countries. In here, my friends, we are going to be given a main topic around which we have two parties arguing with two contradicting opinions, and we will be asked to give our opinion to support one of these parties. And we will be asked to give our excuses and reasons for supporting this party. While, my friends, in the other part or in the other type of questions, we have agree, disagree, or positive, negative development. In here, my friends, we see, for example, the question given as a phenomenon to be discussed, and then they will ask us about our opinion about this phenomenon. For example, they say an increasing number of people now are, tend to buy a house, not to rent one. Do you think that this is positive or a negative development? Or do you disagree to this perspective? Another question could be, for example, my friends, an increasing number of people now want to quit the school and start their own free job, let's say, handicraft, for example, rather than going to university. Do you think this is a positive or negative development? Do you agree or disagree? Of course, they will ask us to do one of these tasks. And the third type, my friends, here to discuss two independent points and to develop them. And here, my friends, we are generally not asked about our opinion. Generally, we are asked about the reasons and the results of specific phenomena. For example, the phenomenon could be renting houses. For example, here the question could be an increasing number of people tend to buy a house, not to rent one. And the question is, why do you think this phenomenon has been increasing in the last years? Do you think, for example, the second reason, do you think, or they ask us about the reasons why. The second one, they will ask, the second part or the second point will be asked to explain the results of this phenomenon. As you see here, my friends, the topic could be the same: buying or renting a house, studying abroad or studying in the same country, but they can, here the examiners, they can present it, the question in these three types. So, my friends, we have to be careful to the point that if we are given the question in the formula of type 1, we will need this part after we write a hook. Of course, all types of these questions need the hook. All types of these questions need the thesis statement, but only type 1 needs this part here, background information or covering points 1 and 2, while type 2 and type 3 do not need to write the background information while writing the introductory paragraphs. So when we write an introductory paragraph that is related or that is, for example, from type 2 or type 3, we write the hook, then we skip this part B, and we go to part C, which is the thesis statement, immediately. While when the question is type 1, we write the hook, then we go to the background information, then we write the thesis statement. And here, my friends, we have these types. As you see, they don't need the second part, and we merge it here, the hook with the thesis statement together, ignoring the background when the questions are type 2 or type 3. And here, my friends, as you see, every type of questions has its own pattern, of course, because some of them are argumentative, like this one. The others are a little bit, for example, intriguing and asking for opinions, while the third one is asking for explanation or giving more details. In here, type 1, two parties are going. Again, my friends, we write the hook. As we all know, the hook is common for the three parts, and we took 3 or 4 patterns in the previous class. After we finish writing the hook, of course, we give it an indentation. Here, we continue the second part. A group of people, as long as we have two parties arguing, and the question will be like a group of people, for example, a group of people prefer to buy a house, not to rent one, while the other a group of people prefer to rent one, not to buy one. Discuss both opinions and give yours. And here, my friends, we have to give an introduction that we know that there are two parties. We say a group of people think, believe, allege, insist, or argue that. In here, we are afraid to use one of these. I just want to give you a small piece of information or a small piece of advice. My friends, if you see in the text of the question, for example, some people think that buying a house is better, don't use the verb think in your answer. If the verb think is in the question, use another verb so that you prove to the writer that you have a good, let's say, credit of words and synonyms. Don't repeat the same words in the question. That's why I have given here you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 options. So a group of people, if we see in the question that the word think is written, we ignore think, we use believe or allege or insist or argue. The most important thing is not to repeat the same words given in the questions in our introductory paragraph, because this will indicate, let's say, weaknesses in our vocabulary and in our knowledge. In here, my friends, a group of people, let's say, believe that, and then we mention point one. A group of people believe that buying a house is better than renting one. In here, we write the point one, or the opinion of party one. In here, we say others. Of course, as you see here, this is a semicolon, and it is good, very good to start your, let's say, essay with a semicolon, showing the examiner that you know how to use the semicolon appropriately. You can use, for example, dot, and here you write however, nevertheless, or you can use one of the fanboys, or you can use, for example, on the other hand, dot, then on the other hand. You are free, but I prefer to use the semicolon here. Others think that, and then here, for example, renting a house is better than buying one. Another option here, my friends, to be taken is in this field or in this field of argument, in the middle of this argument, or considering this topic, a group of people, again, we use one of these verbs, that believe that buying a house is better than renting one. Others, of course, we also use one of these verbs, and then we carry on talking about the other party's opinion. In here, my friends, I think we solved this problem. Now, we move to type 2. Type 2 talks about here, agree, disagree, positive, negative developments. Generally, my friends, in this case, as we said before, we write the hook, we skip part B, and we go to part C immediately. As you see here, my friends, after we write the hook, we start part C. We say the question here, the given example for the question: an increasing number of people are renting houses rather than buying ones. Do you think this is positive or negative development? Do you agree or disagree? Both questions, by the way, ask us to express an opinion whether with or against. And in here, my friends, we have patterns for type 2. We have 3 patterns. The first one, after, of course, we write the hook, my friends, again, write the hook. You skip only part B. In this academic piece of writing, we can say, see how, try to prove that, argue why, defend the truth that, for example, renting a house is better than buying one, buying a house is better than renting. It depends on what we believe, which party we want to support. In here, buying a house is a good concept that should be accepted or refused. In here, it depends on you. Would you like to support or would you like to contradict? It depends on you. But in my opinion, I prefer to go with good concept that should accept it. Then here we have the full stop. The second pattern we could use, my friends, here in the following paragraphs, of course, comma. This is, if you remember, I think we called it a starter for the sentence, and we said after it we should use the comma. We will discuss the advantages or the disadvantages of buying a house, for example, that prove how good or how bad it is. In the third form, my friend, or in the third option, we could say in this essay, we will justify our tendency to support the idea that buying a house is the best and the most correct perspective to be considered. In here, my friends, I am free to use one of these. I cannot use 2 of them, of course. So I think they are enough. If you want, you can ask ChatGPT to provide you with better options if you want. And here, my friends, in type 3, as you know, type 3, 2 independent points. Again, here, my friends, we are not going to be asked to discuss opinions. We're not going to be asked to explain if the topic or the phenomenon of the topic is good or bad, you agree to disagree, or whatever. In here, we are going to be asked to explain why, or to give, for example, reasons, to, for example, discuss results, or discuss a point that is related directly to the topic. In here, my friends, we say we have two patterns to be used. In this essay, we will discuss the idea that, for example, they ask us why people prefer to buy houses. In this essay, we will discuss the idea that people now prefer to buy houses, not to rent ones. And here we mention point 1. Of course, we take it from the question. And here, in addition, we will go through the idea that here, for example, buying houses has some consequences to be discussed. In here, as you know, my friends, all of you knows, we are going to mention the point to be discussed, because I haven't written anything here. In here, my friends, in this academic piece of writing, we will cover the perspective that, for example, buying houses, or the increasing number of buying houses, goes back to the truth that people, for example, want safe places to live, or we should give reasons and discuss why people prefer to buy houses. And then the second, or the rest of this part, is going to be the same as this one. In addition, we will go through the idea that, for example, this phenomenon has some results to be discussed. In here, I would like to go back to this. In this academic piece of writing, we will see why, and here we discuss let's say, the main idea, and here main idea, and here main idea. Well, that's it for today, my friends. Thank you for paying attention for this class. I know it is a little bit confusing because we have 3 types of questions. I will try to upload a file in this video so that you can compare these types with one another, and you will learn, and you can understand how to distinguish between them. In the next class, my friends, I'm going to discuss the body paragraphs, body paragraph 1 and body paragraph 2, perspective 1, perspective 2, because in here, my friends, we have finished talking about the introductory paragraph. What I advise here, my friends, is to take the IELTS books, or the TOEFL books, or the proficiency exams samples, which are available on the university's websites, so that you can take these questions and you try to apply my patterns for the hook, the background, and the thesis statement. Apply them to these questions and send them to me on my email, and I'm going to check them for you. And what I would like, again, my friends, to advise you for the last time is to practice filling the blanks from those questions from the IELTS and TOEFL and the proficiency exams. Try to practice putting the main ideas, the points, into these blanks professionally. Try to go back. I have another writing course about noun phrases. Try to go back and learn noun phrases. I mean here the infinitive and the gerunds, because we are going to fill in the blanks with those. Go back to these classes, understand them, repeat them, play some code games which are related to them, and then come and apply what you have learned on the samples given for IELTS, TOEFL, and proficiency exam. Thank you again, my friends. I'm sorry for making this class a little bit long, but it was necessary to give some points and to discuss some ideas. Thank you again, my friends, and goodbye to the next class.